company plans to migrate all of their applications to AWS. The solutions architect suggests to store all the data to EBS volumes. The chief technical officer is worried that EBS volumes are not appropriate for the existing workloads due to compliance requirements, downtime scenarios, and IOPS performance. Which of the following are valid points in proving that EBS is the best service to use for migration? Okay, so company plans to migrate to AWS. Solution architect suggests to store everything on EBS volumes. CTO is worried that it's not appropriate for existing local workload. It's not appropriate because of compliance, downtime scenarios, and IOPS performance, which of the following are valid points in proving that EBS is actually best service to use for this migration. Okay, so we want to select two. So EBS volumes support live configuration changes while in production, which means that you can modify volume type, volume size, and IOPS capacity without service interruption. I don't think you can do it. Amazon EBS provides the ability to create snapshot backups um, of any EBS volume and write a copy of the data in the volume to RDS. No, that's not those. It doesn't write it to RDS. It writes it to S3. EBS volumes can be attached to any EC2 instance in any RPC zone. I think that's correct. And EBS volume is of instance storage. That's correct. That can persist independently from the life of the instance. That's correct. And when you create an EBS volume in availability zone, it is automatically replicated on a separate AWS region to prevent data loss to a failure of any single server. It's not replicated to a separate region. Okay, let's check. Okay, so that was actually not correct. Okay, so EBS volumes support actually live configuration changes while in production, which means that you can modify the volume type, volume size without service interruption. Okay. So let's see. EBS volume is a durable block level storage device that you can attach to a single EC2 instance. You can use EBS volumes as a primary storage for data that requires frequent updates, such as the system drive for an instance or storage for the database application. You can also use them for throughput intensive applications that perform continuous disk scans. EBS volumes persist independently from the running life of a EC2 instance. Here's a list of important information about EBS volumes. When you create an EBS volume in availability zone, it is automatically replicated within the zone to prevent data loss due to a failure of any single hardware component. So when you create EBS volume in availability zone, it's actually automatically replicated within that zone. Okay, and after you create a volume, you can attach it to any instance in the same availability zone. Amazon EBS multi-attach enables you to attach single provision IOPS SSD volume to multiple Nitro-based instances that are in the same availability zone. However, other EBS types are not supported. Okay, so that specific multi-attach enables you to attach single provision IOPS. An EBS volume is of instance storage that can persist independently from the life of an instance, you can specify not to terminate the EBS volume when you terminate the EC2 instance during instance creation. So EBS volume is off instance storage. That's the important part. EBS volumes support live configuration changes while in production, which means that you can modify them volume type, volume size, IOPS capacity without service interruptions. Amazon EBS encryption uses 256-bit advanced encryption standard algorithm. EBS volumes offer 99.999 SLA. The option that says when you create EBS volume in an availability zone, it is automatically replicated on separate AWS region to prevent data loss due to a failure of any single hardware component. That's incorrect because when you create EBS volume in availability zone, it is automatically replicated within that zone only and not on a separate AWS region to prevent data loss due to a failure of any single hardware component. The option that says EBS volume can be attached to any EC2 instance in any availability zone is incorrect, as EBS volume can only be attached in the same availability zone. Yeah, okay, so that was my mistake. Yeah, it's only within the same region and availability zone. Yes, that option is incorrect because we're not storing volumes to RDS, they are in S3. Okay, interesting question. Yeah, I don't really use EBS volumes, so I was mistaken by that live configuration changes being allowed. But yeah, okay, thank you.